Hello, my name is Kenan Johnson, and I've been asked to share my testimony of how God saved me, how He delivered me from cancer, and how He watched over me when I did not know I needed watching over. So it started back in 2005 when I had a swollen tonsil, and it was just swollen. That's all it was. It was swollen. It looked bad. It was on my left hand side, and I told my moms about it. I'm glad I did, but I'm not sure why I did, but I did. And she said, "Well, go see the doctor." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll go." I didn't go. She kept asking me, so I finally went. So when I went to go see my doctor, he said that yeah, it looks bad. He said, "Well, here's some medication, and this should help it out." So I took it, went home, and it didn't work. So I came back again, and he gave me a stronger dose, and it didn't work either. So I came back for the third time, and he said, "Well, since it's not working, and since you need to have it taken care of, let's go ahead and let's schedule surgery," because they didn't want it to affect my right side. So I had it out in October, and so everything went well. I had a follow up a week later. He said, "The surgery went well, you're healing right." He said, "Everything is fine, you did great." So he said, "I'll see you when I see you." I'm like, "Cool." So fast forward about 5, 6 months later, I developed a rash, and I'm like, "Where's this rash coming from?" So I went to the store and tried to get rid of the rash on my own. Nothing worked. So I went to my doctor. But because I'm private, I didn't want to tell the nurse about my rash. I don't know why. I just didn't. So I told the nurse. I said, "Listen, I had my tonsils out a few months ago, but I just wanted to see if it's healing right." I just made something up. So when I saw the doctor again, when I saw my primary doctor, and this was in March of '06. When I saw my primary doctor, he said, "Okay, so what's going on with your neck?" I'm like, "My neck is fine, my throat's fine, but I have a rash." So he said, "But you told us that you wanted us to take a look at your neck." I said, "Yeah, but it's my rash." So he prescribed some medication, and it didn't work. So I came back again. And I did the exact same thing. Called the nurse, said the exact same story. My tonsil, I had to take it out. Just want to see if it's healing right. And this time I saw a different doctor. And since it still wasn't clearing up, he gave me something stronger. Again, he said, "But why you keep asking about your throat?" I'm like, I just do. So went home, took it again, and it still would not go away. The rash was just still there. So I did the exact same thing, called the nurse, same process. And the doctor said, "Okay, this is gonna work, try this." And then he said, "Since you keep calling about your tonsils, but it's your rash, why don't we do an x-ray?" So since he wasn't the doctor who took out my tonsils, he sent the x-ray file to my surgeon who performed the surgery back in October. And so maybe a few weeks later, I get a call, and mind you, my rash went away, thank God. But I get a call, and I'm at Popeyes on break from work, and I get this call from my surgeon, and I'm like, "Why is he calling me?" I mean, maybe I thought he was calling to check up on me. I don't know, but it was just out of nowhere. So he called me, and we talked on the phone for a hot second. Then he said, "Okay, have some news for you." I'm like, "Okay." He said that when we took out your tonsils back in October, we did a biopsy. 3 days later, we discovered that you had cancer cells. And literally when he said that word, I'm like, "Excuse me?" He said, "Yeah." He said that what that means is that you have cancer. And I'm like, "Okay, so what does that mean?" He said, "Okay, what that means is you have to Here's a number to call your oncologist. We already scheduled you. And first thought to my mind is, why are you just now telling me this has been like 6 months? He said, well, we misplaced your file. And when we got your x-ray from your primary doctor, it kind of jogged our memory that we forgot to tell you that you had cancer. But let's not worry about that, he said. Let's just worry about you getting better. And so I scheduled my first appointment, and because it was, it had been like 6 months, they didn't really want to waste any more time. So I didn't have really much time to think about, what. I did get a second opinion from another doctor, and he said, yeah, that's what it is. So I didn't really have much time to debate if I should not have chemo and should, and I was just wanting to get better. So I had 4 rounds of chemo, then I had the radiation, and it was just an experience. But I was grateful because I realized that if it hadn't been for my rash, if it hadn't been for me trying to be private and kind of mentioning my talents, if it hadn't been, I guess, for the doctor having the insight to say, well, let's go ahead and let's just do an x-ray, then they would have never been able to send over that file to my surgeon, and maybe that file would have never been found that I had cancer. And by that time, I had already been walking around with it for over about 16 months because I had my tonsil issue in January of '05. So I'm getting a call that I had cancer in March of '06. So I'm grateful to this day that, I wasn't angry at the doctor, though I had questions on why he didn't call me to find out how I was doing. But, and I never tried to sue them for losing my file. My focus was just on getting better, and I was more grateful that God used a simple rash to bring attention to a bigger issue. So that was back in '06. It's 2017 now, and still cancer free, and I'm still giving God the glory, because if it wasn't for him, there is no telling. I would probably be somewhere else than making a video and sharing what God has done. So it's been 10 years cancer free. I still rock the bald head because I like it, but other than that, I feel good, and I'm still in faith that it's never gonna come back, and I'll be cancer free forever. But I just also want to encourage everyone else who might have some type of issue, or if they're going through anything, that there's nothing too hard for God.